Fasten your seatbelt. I am taking you for the ride of your life. I'm going to show you what this car can really do. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
Go get him, kid.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. Not a tumor at all.
F?
You're going to ask me. So you can go ahead and ask me what you're going to ask me. And my natural response could be to get offended.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right.
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. One movie each week, 30 years in the making.
Oh, it's a 30-something movie podcast.
That it is, John. How are you this lovely evening?
I'm good, but I'm nervous. It's a movie that's a serious medical drama, and I wanted to try to say funny things.
Yeah, it's so hard when you get these serious movies that are trying to make a point, and you want to not be that guy, but then something happens, and you're like,
Stupid social commentary.
I know.
So
it's hard.
I'm just
and coming off our
said the actress to the bishop.
Right.
There we go.
Coming off our recent recording of The Wrath of Khan, while not itself social commentary as much as other original Star Trek, I do feel your pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Much like Cybok, I tend to share my pain publicly.
But do you need your pain?
I don't, actually. I would be very happy to give it away. My family was always big with garage sales. I'm very happy. Like,
there you go.
Lowest bidder, you can have it. Cybok would not have to put up a fight to get my pain. So I feel like I just want to put a little warning in here now that if we do make comments about the movie that we're not making fun of the subject matter. Like, there are a couple of things, while I thought this was a pretty good movie, there are a couple things about the movie that I absolutely intend on kind of poking fun at a little bit. So I'll put in the disclaimer now that I'm not poking any kind of fun at medical conditions or anything like that. Because I think at this point, everyone in the world knows someone who has or is going through something medically. And so that is not anything that we might poke fun at. It is more the movie itself and not the subject matter. So, that being said, how'd you like Lorenzo Lamas in this movie? That was actually, I knew nothing about this movie. When I saw the name of it, I was like, Lorenzo's Oil. And clearly I know nothing about medicine because I didn't realize this was a real thing.
I didn't either. I knew of this movie. I had not seen it. I did not know what we were about to watch at all. Mm-hmm. And I did a little reading, and I was like, oh, so this is a real thing. And then, okay, so that's real.
You are a much better man than I am, because I did zero research all the way up until watching this movie. I was completely convinced that this had something to do with like a spin-off of the TV series Dallas.
Wow.
I was like, Lorenzo's Oil. Like, are we fighting for oil rights in Texas or something? And J.R. Ewing is going to show up.
There you go. That is certainly an option, isn't it?
We find out Act 3 of the movie was all a dream. Yeah. So, and here I am, of course, sitting here. And I think I have that as like a ringtone on my phone somewhere, and I'm sitting here going da 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 da. Yeah.
Okay, now that we've treated our audience to our singing and they've turned us off.
Thank you for joining us on the final episode of the 30-something movie podcast, in which we tell jokes during a serious medical drama movie, and we sing the Dallas theme song and alienate pretty much all of our listeners.
For those of you that are too young to know what Dallas was, look it up.
For those of you who are too young to know what Dallas was, I'll tell you what it was. It was a good team in the 90s. That's what it was.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I did hear. You can't dispute that. They had.
No, I can't. There was a meme going around recently about how long it's been since the Cowboys won something.
Was it the?
I restrained myself from
Yeah.
sending it to you, but
That's okay.
thought about it.
That's all right. That's all right. I tend to, as our friends from Oklahoma know, I tend to struggle a bit sometimes with my sports teams that I wish they did better than they sometimes do. I am very proud of one of my teams for sticking it out with Alabama during this last weekend. It was a very, very good game, and I'm super happy with how they did, even though they didn't win. I was very happy. Also very happy that our neighbors across the street, who were always Alabama fans, no longer live there anymore, because I was flying my Texas flag no matter what. I don't care.
That I believe.
I did hear the joke the other day that they treated it as if they were reading something off of a news report, that the Dallas Cowboys were at a team practice the other day, and somebody discovered this white powder on the field, so they cleared the field until they could come in and investigate what it was. And after doing some analysis on it and doing some investigation, they discovered that it was the goal line. And they decided that it was not going to be something that they would ever encounter ever again, so they just continued on with practice.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Some of them are dumb.
I kid
That
because
one I like.
I kid because I love, but at the same time, it hurts a little bit inside.
I can understand that.
It's true. As Metallica, as the grand wisdom of Metallica has taught us, it's sad but true, Bo.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing else matters. And I blank out on give me fuel, give me fire. I don't know.
There you go.
And we'll burn it all down. We're talking Lorenzo's oil. That has nothing to do with Metallica or the Dallas Cowboys, but
No, and there's no burning it down.
no burning it down in this movie. So I did. So that was kind of interesting in watching this movie. I did learn me something about medicine. Of course, I did go to WebMD, which is, of course, anytime you have any kind of a sniffle, that's always the best place to go so that you can self-diagnose, which reminds me of the running joke that we always used to have with the student medical center when I was in college, was no matter what was wrong with you, you had two choices. If you went to the student medical center, to the clinic that was there on the college campus, you were going to come back with either one of two diagnoses. Either you had the flu or you were pregnant. So oftentimes I bothered not going because I felt like I should just assume I had the flu.
Well, yes. I think in that case, the other alternative would just not have been medically possible.
I mean, I've seen the movie Junior, so I know it's possible.
Well, possible, I think, should be in air quotes there, but
and Total Recall with the little guy in the one guy's stomach.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Junior and Total Recall not being medical dramas. So.
But are they not?
Well,
there's some anatomy in Total Recall. I'll tell you that.
There is some anatomy. But again, I think the key word here is drama.
I thought that scene was very dramatic.
It was dramatic and wonderful in its own way.
It had my attention.
Yeah. Yes, I suppose it did.
3 strikes and I was out. We're not here to talk about Total Recall, though.
We're not? I'll be right back then. As
far as I know, and I did watch the movie, as far as I know, there are no such scenes in Lorenzo's Oil.
That's too bad.
That's okay, though. But what we do get is we get Nick Nolte trying out his Italian accent.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm. How'd you feel about that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I will admit to not having been around many native Italian speakers in my life, so maybe I just don't know, but it seemed like an odd choice to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah. Well, and I think modern sensibilities, you would tend to err towards the side of, well, why don't you just hire someone that actually speaks Italian?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Nick Nolte is actually Italian.
He was born in Omaha, I believe is the...
That's pretty far from Italy.
Yeah, born in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah. I mean,
he began his career on stage at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Okay.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of reference to Italy. No, that's just the first little paragraph there, but...
Right. Okay. They have an Olive Garden in Omaha.
Are you sure?
I think they do.
Okay. I'm
pretty sure. Or what is that little fast food place? Spaghetti Outlet or something?
Oh, there you go.
I bet they have one of those. Even if they don't have an Olive Garden, I bet Omaha has to have an Olive Garden. Doesn't everywhere have an Olive Garden?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Bloomington has one, so you know.
Yeah. So, they've got them. So, well, our movie this time around is, as we've said, Lorenzo's Oil. Has nothing to do with J.R. Ewing or the cast of Dallas. We are going to spoil the movie, so this is your only warning. And make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com, where you can leave a rating, review, voicemail, become a co-executive producer via Patreon, which, if you do that, you will have access to all kinds of fun stuff. This month in particular, our Patreon episode is The Dark Crystal from 1982. We got a bunch of stuff from 82. And 2 of our Patreon shorts are Q the Winged Serpent from 1982 and Cat People from 1982. Speaking of the life-changing scene that we were just discussing from Total Recall, have you had a chance to see Cat People, Bo?
I have not.
Okay. Do you enjoy movies that Annette O'Toole is in?
I think I have in the past, yes.
Do you enjoy the movie Diamonds Are Forever?
I do.
Would you enjoy seeing Plenty O'Toole?
I would.
You should watch Cat People.
Noted.
Okay. Moving on. Now that order of business is done.
I was going to say, we got there.
Yeah,
We got there.
We got there. Now that that's done. Some of our other episodes this month are Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which we had guest host, Patreon executive co-producer Rob Perry came on with us. We're going to have Forever Young. We're going to have Death Becomes Her. And then in October, we've got, for our Patreon episodes, we've got Last House on the Left from 1972. And then the shorts are Airplane 2 from 82 and Secret of Nim from 82. And then for the month of October, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Army of Darkness, and the culminating masterpiece of the first 3 Alien movies, Alien 3. Why are you smirking?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm telling you, I'm getting a bunch of messages on text messages and Twitter and other places of people like leaving me little comments about Alien 3, and we're gonna have some words about that.
You're saying there's a lot of love for Alien 3 out there?
I'm saying I have enough love for Alien 3 for everyone.
I'll believe that.
Yeah. I'm not saying, and I've said this before, and I will say it in that episode too, I'm not saying it's better than Alien or Aliens, because I rank those higher than Alien 3, but I do not poo-poo it as others do. So I do see the value in Alien 3.
Okay.
And it is my third favorite of the movies.
Okay.
So, but we'll get there. End of October, we'll get to that one. And I think Rob Perry is actually going to come back and join us on that one too. So it'll be good to have him back in on that discussion.
Nice.
All right, so Lorenzo's Oil. I am going to, I'll go through our whole trivia pursuits section where I give some background on the movie. You will not hear me play the trailer for the movie because when I went to go look for the trailer is entirely music and no dialogue. And there's maybe like one line of dialogue at the end of the 1.5-minute trailer. So I didn't think it probably made too much sense on an audio podcast to play a movie trailer that had no speaking.
So it's one of those.
One of those. There are scenes, they show scenes from the movie in which people are talking, but there's only music.
Right. Okay.
And so, Bo, I just feel like I have to say something about that it really bothers me when trailers cop out that way and they try to go the easy way out and they don't use the dialogue from the movie, which I really think could help sell the movie and really get more butts in seats and really increase the box office returns. But I don't know. I felt I had to say something about that.
I can understand that.
We're going to get real sick and tired of that music.
Yes.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't splurge on extra composition time.
No, they
found a piece that they liked and be darned, they went for it, man.
Unlike Jurassic Park, they splurged no expense.
Yes.
Was that music? Did you ever see the movie Simone with Al Pacino?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. It's a fun movie. It's Al Pacino and Evan Rachel Wood is very young in that movie. Mm-hmm. And basically what it is Pacino is a movie director and he is sick and tired of dealing with, I think it's Winona Ryder is the actress who he's dealing with in the beginning of the movie. And he's sick and tired of how all these actors and actresses are all prima donnas and they all like, well, you have to do what I want because I'm the high paid actor and it's my name that's on the screen. And so the movie is kind of a reaction to directors maybe not being the big name anymore, and it being more the actors that kind of call the shots. And so basically what happens in the movie is he encounters this guy who had started to create an artificial intelligence that was very lifelike. And so he creates this, that's called Simulation 1, which he shortens to Simone. And he uses the computer to become a fully computerized actress. And this came out around the time of like the early 2000s. So like when you had computerized characters like Jar Jar Binks and stuff like that. So the movie is kind of a reaction to that too. It's actually a fun movie. I think I own a DVD copy of it. But what's funny about it is that whenever they show scenes from the movies and it's super dramatic and Simone is in an Oscar-winning scene, they always play. It's this exact same adagio music that they used in this movie. Exactly the same.
That's awesome.
And so every single time, I almost was going to start counting in this movie the number of times they use this music for the
Oh yeah, don't
stuff.
do that.
No. And don't play the drinking game. You know, the Lorenzo's oil adagio drinking game, don't do that.
No, that would be bad.
No. So, all right. Well, our movie this time, like we said, is Lorenzo's Oil. It came out on the 30th of December, 1992, just barely getting in under the wire there to be a 92 movie. Rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 9 minutes. Directed by George Miller. And isn't that a kick in the pants that George Miller would have directed this movie?
Apparently, George Miller has some training as a doctor.
He does, which is
the craziest thing when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's knowing things like that and knowing he directed this and Mad Max that make you go, okay, yeah, I'd like to sit down and talk to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot happening there, and I'm very curious.
As Arsenio Hall used to say, it's things that make you go, Mm-hmm. Yes, so the same guy that did The Witches of Eastwick, Mad Max, Fury Road, well, all the Mad Max movies for the most part, and the same guy who included Tina Turner in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, directed Lorenzo's Oil, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Just puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I half expected Tina Turner to show up and start singing We Don't Need Another Hero. That could have provided some variety instead of the adagio the entire time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if she could slow it down a little bit and maybe do as the background music, like a "You're simply the best, better than all the rest." Yeah, I don't know. This is why I'm not a songwriter.
Yes, that's why.
Also not a singer.
Yes.
Barely a
also
podcaster.
True.
Barely a podcaster. And after tonight, who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're only podcasters if people listen, right? Like if you record something and publish it, are you a podcaster? Or does someone have to listen first?
Yeah. And if a tree falls on your podcast in the woods, there's something about the Pope, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and bears in the woods, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tiger Woods, I don't know. Something. Written by George Miller and Nick Einright, who died in 2003. Miller did The Road Warrior and the movie Babe. And then Enright did Black Rock and Come In Spinner. Producers for this one were George Miller and Doug Mitchell. Miller obviously did Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Dead Calm. Mitchell did Babe and Happy Feet. Music got a big old NA for the music on this one because basically they reused the same thing over and over and over again. And there are a couple of other musical pieces in here, but not really noticeable, or at least I didn't think they were. Cinematography done by John Seal, who did Witness and The English Patient. Editor was Marcus Darcy, who did Babe and Dark City. Richard Francis Bruce was another editor who also did Seven and Air Force One. Get off my plane. And what's in the box?
What's in the
box? That used to be the name of our trivia team.
That's funny.
I don't remember why we were called that. Why did we call... Oh, because somebody... Okay, so we were at trivia one time. Hold on. Sorry, I need to set the scene. Okay, so we were at trivia this one time. And somebody came in a little bit late, and they brought a box of what looked like take-home box from like Domino's Pizza or a pizza place or somewhere like that. And we said, "You got some pizza to take home?" And they said, "No." And so we asked them, "Well, what's in the box?"
What's in the box?
And they're like, "I'm not telling you." We never found out what was in the box.
Oh my.
But the number of times that night that we all at the table relayed the message, "What's in the box?" So,
well, I mean, you just kind of have to. You're kind of compelled.
That became, and sometimes we would alternate. Like one week, our trivia team name was "What's in the Box," and this one time we had too many people show up because you had to limit yourself to a team of 8. So we had too many people show up one time. So we split into 2 teams. One was "What's in the Box," and the other team was called Gwyneth Paltrow's Head.
Well, that's one way to do it.
I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. just in case you haven't seen that movie.
Oh gosh.
The budget for this one is $30 million. Box office was $7.2 million, so it did not quite make its money back.
No. I wonder what it did over time, because I feel like this is one of those like word of mouth kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody sees it and says, "Oh man, you gotta see this. It's powerful. It's, all of these things." And I feel like it has a better chance of doing well that way.
I feel like it's very niche.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. But like, for lack of a better way to say it, my wife tells her sister tells a couple of friends, and it does. And
they tell 2 friends, and so on, and so on.
And I feel like it could gain more recognition that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, and we'll talk some more about this as we go on, but I don't know if this is the case for anybody else, but for some reason or another, anytime I see Nick Nolte, I shy away from the movie.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have kind of a reaction to him as like, I don't know. And I don't know why.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the unkempt appearance or I don't know what it is.
Right.
I just
I
tend to just shy away from it. Well, and I think I've heard some stories here and there of people who have been in movies with him, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't really enjoy working with that guy."
That'll do it, though. I mean, that's all it takes to sour you on somebody,
right? And I don't know how true those are. Or I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the other person who was a jerk or who
totally.
knows, but I don't know. For some reason, I tend to see that Nick Nolte is in a movie, and I'm like, yeah, I'll walk this way. Flick Metrics gives this one a 73%. Cinema Score gives it an A. So the people that went to go see it didn't. So the people that went to go see it did enjoy it. So,
well, and that lines up with your niche theory that it's a very niche scenario, and people who do decide to go see it are going to like it because they're predisposed to like it.
Right. So we got Nick Nolte playing Augusto Adonye, who was in The Prince of Tides and The Thin Red Line. Susan Sarandon was Michaela Adonye. She was in Thelma and Louise and Dead Man Walking. Peter Ustinov, who died in 2004, played Professor Nicolaus. He was in Spartacus and Logan's Run. I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
No, but I'm Spartacus.
Pat is Spartacus.
Done.
There we go. Good. We both saved our bacon.
Bacon.
Thank you. Yes. See my earlier comment before we started recording when you used the word brevity and I accidentally thought you said obesity.
Yes, well, bacon.
I tell you, it was the Book It program. I blame the whole thing.
I know.
It's why I am the size I am and why I read so well.
Dude, it's
the catch-22. It's the catch-22 of childhood literacy / obesity is the Book It program.
Well, and there's a great meme floating around about how amazing was Pizza Hut. When they brought that pizza out in a piping hot skillet, we thought it was the best thing we'd ever seen in our lives. We've since learned what pizza is, and
then I moved to Chicago.
Right, and things have changed a little. Yeah. But the point is, that stuff was good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, we haven't even started talking about the movie yet, and we've already devolved into the 30-something food podcast.
Yeah, well, that's how we roll. It's what we do.
That is true. And the more we do it, the more we roll.
Yes.
Oddly enough. Cause and effect, friends. Cause and effect. Kathleen Wilhoit played Deirdre Murphy. She was in Roadhouse and The Edge. Jerry Baman played Dr. Judulon. He was in Home Alone and The Bodyguard. Margot Martindale played Wendy Gimble. She was in The Firm and The Good Wife. James Rebhorn, who died in 2014, played Ellard Muscatine. He was in Independence Day and Scent of a Woman. Hooah! Anne Hearn played Loretta Muscatine. She was in My Father the Hero and The Accused. And Maduka Steady played Omuri, who was in Law & Order and The Three-Way. So again, like I said, I'm not going to play a trailer here because it was pretty much just all music. In terms of trivia, so Bo, you mentioned the one that with George Miller's medical background, it kind of helped the accuracy and credibility of the medical parts of this movie, which I'm not knowing anything about medicine. It was all believable for me. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes that.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe you.
Sometimes you watch these movies and you go, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of this at least made sense.
Right.
You know?
It doesn't take much for it to help make sense for me if I'm sitting over here going, I need 20 cc's of Manure Veneer stat. When that's all the medical knowledge I have.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we weren't starting from,
Yeah. And if you leave your Sims alone for too long, they die.
Yeah.
That's all I know. That's really all I know. I never even had a Tamagotchi, so I feel like that would have been one step closer to medical school for me.
There's a blast from the past. My gosh.
So Susan Sarandon said, this would have been really interesting. Susan Sarandon said that this movie was originally supposed to be shot and then edited and recolored so that as the movie goes on and as Lorenzo declines, that the movie would fade from color to black and white.
That would have been an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
And expensive, which is why it didn't happen. But yes, that would have been. I love movies that play with color. It would have been interesting to see if they were given the chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it sounds like the production ran out of money, so they couldn't reverse Yellow Brick Road it, and it just ended up being the way that it is. She also, apparently in the same interview, said they were originally going to do that with Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
That would have also been cool.
I would be cool with that. Some other interesting trivia. Michelle Pfeiffer was originally cast as Michaela Adonye, but dropped out in order to play Catwoman in Batman Returns.
Choices we make.
For which, interestingly enough, the role of Catwoman they were also considering Susan Sarandon for that role.
So, Susan Sarandon and Michelle Pfeiffer, apparently in the minds of producers at the time anyway, interchangeable.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I don't know if I see Susan Sarandon pulling off a Catwoman.
It certainly would be a different Catwoman.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'd be looking at just a different temperament,
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's an awesome actress. I mean,
indeed.
Thelma and Louise and Dead Man Walking. All the different things that I've seen her in. She's an amazing actress. But yeah, I have a hard time picturing her pulling off the role of Catwoman, at least as it was in the 92 movie.
True. And we talk about this a lot. If somebody else, such and such a thing, and
yeah.
But because an actor brings so much of themselves to any role, it's really hard to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The last little trivia bit that I've got here is the actual, so this is based on a true story, the actual Lorenzo Adonye. Doctors had predicted he would die very shortly after diagnosis. I think in the movie they say, isn't it like just a matter of months?
Yeah, that's something like that, yeah.
At most 10 to 18 months or something like that after diagnosis, most kids were dead. He lived until May 30th, 2008, one day after his 30th birthday, and then he passed away. So that was...
you think about it, it's pretty good.
That's pretty good, for being, 5 years old when he was diagnosed, and probably not expected to hit your 6th birthday, and yet you end up living until you're 30. That's pretty good. All right, the synopsis for this one. In a world where the true life drama of it. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me fix this.
I was going to say, you need to set the mood.
Yep. In a world where the true life drama of a father and mother who battled against the odds to save their son's life unfolds before you, Augusto and Michaela Adonye are dealt a cruel blow by fate. 5-year-old Lorenzo Lamas is diagnosed with a rare and incurable disease, but the Adonye's persistence and faith leads to the cure which saves their boy and rewrites medical history. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
We're going to make a new medical breakthrough.
New medical breakthroughs at the Allstate Arena.
Truckosaurus brings the medical breakthrough onto the stage.
There you go. Truckosaurus's oil. That's a different kind of oil.
5W40.
There you go.
We make it special just for him.
We're going somewhere, I'll tell you that.
Yes, we are.
In a handbasket, Bo. Probably in a handbasket. So major moments in this movie, we've got, so the first of our major moments is, I'm calling it Out of Africa. The Adonyes are living in Africa, and we meet, is it Omori, I think was the one person's name, and very good friends with little Lorenzo. And so you just kind of get a little bit of quick backstory of the family and, how they've lived overseas and maybe have had different life experiences than your typical family, but they are coming back to the United States. And very quickly in this movie, we get to major moment number 2 is problems in school, is that Lorenzo starts to act out in school. And so they think it may be some kind of an issue with something going on at home, or that it's more of a behavioral thing. And so the parents originally start to get kind of defensive about that. They're like, whoa, our boy has never lashed out. He's never, like, we don't act that way at home. Why are you accusing us of all this stuff? And the teacher, I don't know if you noticed, is a very young Laura Linney. It was her first movie.
Yeah, crazy. Yep. I was like, wait a minute, I know that person.
Yep, so that was her first movie role. Moving into the third major moment, and that is when they start to get the prognosis, and they find out that this is not just a behavioral thing, and it's not just something that can be easily dealt with. It is a almost always fatal diagnosis that they give him. And I was going to try to repeat the name of the diagnosis, but the best I could probably come up with is just calling it ankylosaur.
Yeah,
it's adrenoleukodystrophy.
Sounds right.
Okay,
sure.
All right, folks, if you can believe it, I used to be an English teacher.
Keyword: used to be.
I'm not an English teacher, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
We're happy for you.
There you go. So yes, we can shorten it to ALD, because that's the shortened name of it. And supposedly, as I'm reading on WebMD, again, the source of champions for all your medical knowledge, there is Lorenzo's oil. The actual Lorenzo's oil is used to treat the disorders known as adrenoleukodystrophy, or ALD, or this one's even longer, adrenomyeloneuropathy, or AMN. That's probably the last time I'm going to try to pronounce those.
It's probably a good idea.
I'm gonna pull a Will Ferrell from Saturday Night Live when he used to play George Bush in the political debates when they used to do them on SNL. And they would, in one of the debates, they asked him, one of the moderators starts going through and starts asking about, this world leader from this country and this world leader from this country in Africa and this one and this world leader and this world leader. And his first response is, well, I'm not going to try to pronounce any of those names tonight, because I don't think that would be in our nation's best interest. All I do have to say, though, is don't mess with Texas. So I'm not going to pronounce any of these other names.
No, that's best for everyone.
Again tonight, because I don't think it's in our nation's best interest. Don't mess with Texas. So yes, so we have the prognosticator. We went to Groundhog Day real fast there.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's how they should have treated the replaying of the music all the time. That's the feeling I got.
There you go.
It was like I Got You, Babe versus the Adagio music. Same kind of thing. That makes Groundhog Day a way different movie if that's the music that starts playing every time he wakes up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Morning, campers. It's cold out there. Yeah. Then they go to the parent group, and the parent group is where we first start to get the idea that the parents are, and this is where, normally we kind of will break up our major moments and our deep thoughts, but I kind of feel like we've been shuffling some of them together anyway, so I'll just proceed. And I will say this is the moment in the movie where things started to get a little sticky because the parent
I want to see where you.
Well,
I want to see what stuck with you.
Well, the parent group. The one thing I worried that either the movie did very, very well or the movie did not do well, and I don't know which one, was as we start to get the reactions to this illness from the different parents. Like, I feel like there were points in the movie where some of the parents came across as being almost two-dimensional characters.
Yes.
That just had some comment to say that showed either they had given up or that they were just blindly trusting in the doctors or whatever in a negative way. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that's a little simplistic.
Yeah, it felt like they had reduced all these other parents to some sort of one-dimensional thing. Like, I don't know many parents that would be as quick to dismiss a possible cure.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Right. For the sake of procedure.
Right. And so there was part of me as I'm watching this, I'm going, gosh, it does say he was trained as a doctor. So this is almost like looking at it through the lens of a medical professional who's saying, gosh, if these parents would just leave us alone, we could get some work done. You know, it felt like an odd tone to take for a movie that I felt was originally supposed to be about this breakthrough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at one point I was like, are we going to kill this breakthrough? And I didn't know enough about the movie at the time.
Right.
So I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like how this kid dies because they won't look at, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was very thankful that was not what happened in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was almost like when you had the scenes with the other parents, like this parent group, I almost felt like it veered into the like after school special kind of territory.
Right?
And I was like, people standing up and like, well, but did you know that 32% of them like, oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, not to discount that we shouldn't have that information shared, because I know, particularly in medical dramas like this, that, you know, I know part of the point of the movie is to get a message across or to share information or to promote something so that maybe there's more funding that's put towards these treatments or things like that. So I'm not belittling that piece of it at all, but just the way it was done artistically and in terms of the writing, those moments I was just like, really? I mean, we're gonna paint these other parents. I felt, and maybe I was wrong, that they were painting the other parents as if they were almost like the villains.
Yeah. And maybe that was just
like
it. Maybe they wanted to give us someone to dislike.
Yeah. But I feel like in a medical drama, so that's where I think that's where, to use Jeff's term, that's where I bumped against this movie is, I think in a medical drama, you don't need a villain. Like
isn't the disease the villain?
The
Isn't
illness is the villain.
Why?
So I don't know that you need. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And when you had the other scenes later on, and I get what they were going for, and I probably should have been a little bit more open-minded about it. And I did try to put myself in their shoes and think, okay, well, how would I act if this was happening to my child? But just some of the scenes where Susan Sarandon's character starts laying into the different nurses, and they're like, you know what? You don't care enough. Just get out. Like, pack your stuff and get out.
That was rough, man.
I was like, whoa. Like, I've never been through this situation, so I'm not going to judge the degree to which you might feel that like it's you against the world kind of a deal. But at the same time, I'm like, whoa, these folks are trying to help. And, you know, is it feasible to assume that everybody's going to be 101% optimistic every single day?
Right.
No. So maybe don't bite the person's head off for maybe voicing some concerns about, because I mean, I think that's a valid point too, is while absolutely you want to fight and do everything you can to help a person recover, but I also feel like there can reach a point where you're just like, if you've been told it's a fatal diagnosis, does it reach a point where you say, okay, we're not going to do anything further to fight this? And I will only say that from like, I'll just share from my own experience when my dad had his final stroke and we were basically told he's not ever going to wake up from this. Like this is it. As much would I have loved to have fought and clawed and found some kind of a way to say, nope. We are doing everything we possibly can to reverse this, to fix this. Or do you reach a point and you say, enough suffering is enough? You know? So that part I think was a little tough for me when her character started just in extreme anger, started lashing out at everybody.
Yeah. And that's the other part where I think having trouble with this movie was I felt like the message kept getting confused.
Yeah.
One minute we've got the doctors and these other parents that are the enemy. One minute we've got these nurses that are the enemy, when the whole time it's the disease that's the enemy. And I guess they were trying to show us the struggle you would go through in this situation. I'm just not sure it succeeded like they hoped.
Yeah. I did enjoy some of the scenes where Nick Nolte's character, when he went to the library and was hanging out there.
Yeah, well, they portrayed him as this calm, rational scientist type who's going to get the information. And you know what? This goes back to that one-dimensional thing we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
He was very one-dimensional. Susan Sarandon's character was very one-dimensional. She was the emotional one. He was the logical one.
Yeah.
You know, no, if you're trying to tell the real story, no one is that one-dimensional.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, I those parent group scenes, I struggled a little bit. Now, some of the parents later on, like they show up and they're helping each other out, and they're kind of, they have like a little group within the group kind of banding together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And as they come through and they start to like basically put themselves through medical school, they as he's at the library,
that was cool. Like
that whole scene where they're doing the research and they've got all the like NCIS board at home where like all the like strings are running everywhere and all that stuff, and they're trying to figure out, I guess the ultimate discovery is what comes to be known as Lorenzo's oil, is a mixture of fatty acids that seemed to kind of slow down the disease. And so this mixture of acids that they were able to obtain, I think it was it called uricic acid and oleic acid?
Yeah, they lost me a little on that too, just because too much science.
I got it.
It's sort of like math. There was too much of it.
Yeah, I think I got it either like a B+ or something in chemistry. So I was like, you say the word acid and I kind of follow along, but.
Right. And they're starting to talk about separating the oils. And I was like, okay, I understand the broad strokes here, but.
Yeah.
And I think they did a decent job for folks like us who couldn't quite get into the science. Once in a while, they went a little deep and I was like, oh, this is not approachable.
Yeah.
At this point, there's a lot happening here,
yeah.
And I got that they were trying to tell that story, but it was challenging.
Yeah. Well, and they mentioned fatty acids, and I had to break out my little notebook of potential band names if I ever learned to play an instrument.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
The fatty acids.
Indeed.
What was our band name we came up with a few years ago? Was it like the Three Circles?
Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, we're all in shape.
Mm-hmm. Round is a shape.
It is a shape.
It is a shape. Circles are a shape. Circle takes the square. And so then by the end of the movie, we find that Lorenzo's oil is a lifesaver. And so we have all of these instances we start to see. And I think some of the footage they put in were like actual footage of some of the different families.
At the end,
and kind of very documentary style, just sharing that this is an actual. So if you went to the movie and you're like, oh, this is moving and this is inspirational, but didn't realize necessarily that this was an actual thing, then by the end of the movie, you are treated to, I guess, I don't want to belittle it by calling it an advertisement, but it's basically a documentary / advertisement for, hey, this is a real thing, and maybe if we have more funding, we can find other treatments and not just slow this down, but actually deal with it and cure it and help these kids get their lives back. So those are the major moments. I think we've kind of talked through some of our deep thoughts here. If we have any more, let's jump into some deep thoughts.
And now, deep thoughts.
Bo, I don't know if you have any deep thoughts, but
I try not to most of the time.
You don't? Okay. I can't swim, so the less we wade into the deep end, probably the better. That's not true. I can swim. I can swim the same way Buzz Lightyear can fly.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
Sure. I got you.
I flail with survivability is what I'm going to call it.
That's a good way to put it. I like it.
I only doggy paddle. Bo, did you like the movie?
You know, in the end, I did. It took me a little while to get there. I just wasn't. Sometimes we talk about you got to be in the right headspace, and maybe I just wasn't. But yes, in the end, I did.
Okay.
What was your feeling on the movie in the end?
Well, Bo, much like you, I feel like I started off a little lukewarm on the movie, and I just wasn't sure how it was going to go. And then there were the scenes with Susan Sarandon, and I was like, wow, that was intense. That escalated quickly.
Yes.
Especially that scene where she killed a guy with a trident. Yes, ultimately, I think I can say I appreciated the movie. I was entertained by the movie. I was informed by the movie. Yeah, and I think it did a good enough job of taking, which I think helped that George Miller has that medical background, of taking some of the concepts of the movie and trying to make it, I don't know that it always succeeded, but try to explain it in layman's terms.
Sure.
And not just layman's terms, but a layman that's probably sitting in the movie theater holding a giant drink and some popcorn.
Yeah, you hear people talk about popcorn movies.
Yeah.
No,
not a popcorn movie. There was oil involved, but not that kind of oil.
There was, but not that kind.
Not that kind of oil. Yeah, so I think overall, I think it was a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it shares with the public something that most of us would never know. Like you and I said, we had never heard of Lorenzo's oil. We didn't know this was a real thing. And that's good. You know, art sometimes has to be that. We can't always be a summer blockbuster. And I think the goals they set out to accomplish, they would probably say were accomplished.
Yeah. Well, and the other fun thing about it is having mentioned this, one of my favorite things that I always bring up is having mentioned the name Lorenzo's oil in the movie always gets me excited.
Boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie. I'm telling you, these drug dealers represent a clear and present danger to the United States.
He said it.
He said it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there.
You dug deep for that one.
I did. They mentioned Lorenzo's oil, and I'm like, there. He said it. Oh.
Oh, dear.
I think we've kind of shared a lot of our deep thoughts as we were talking about the major moments portion of this, too. Are you ready to jump into 3 questions?
I am, John.
Okay. So, Bo, sometimes there's a segment we have on the podcast here, and it used to be 5 questions. And then after a certain point in time, I realized, good Lord, I have to come up with 5 questions every single time we do this podcast. I can't do that. You know, I think it's unreasonable to always have to do 5. And then I was like, well, we need something else because I can't do 5 every time.
It's my understanding
Indeed.
So I think we're just going to settle for 3 questions. And now it's time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Oddly enough, that is a true story, that we used to do 5 questions, and I got tired of coming up with 5 questions, so I reduced it down to 3 questions. But I used to use, when I used that sound clip from Monty Python, it used to be, he asks each traveler 5 questions, and then I would cut it off after that. The first week we switched it to 3 questions, I just added that part back in. It's like, he asks each traveler 5 questions, 3 questions, 3 questions. Like, that works perfectly.
It was amazing.
It was. It was meant to be. Kismet.
It was.
Fate. Whatever you want to call it. Bo, 3 questions. Question number 1. What is your favorite medical drama, either TV or movie?
Ooh. Favorite medical drama. MASH.
Nice. Nice.
Which, to date the podcast, if you have access to the channel Reels, or EELEZ,
all right,
they are running a special on MASH this week about its social impact and all sorts of other things.
Oh, okay.
Reels as a channel is a little suspect sometimes, so I'm not sure if this is going to be any good.
Okay.
But some of the interviews they have shown in the trailer seem interesting.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
I as a kid, for some reason or another, I couldn't get into MASH. It just was like, it was on reruns all the time. And I just was like, no thanks. So I never really gave it a fair shake. I don't know if that's one of those that I need to, like, give it a chance.
Highly recommend it.
Okay. All right.
In any form.
Yeah.
Know that the original movie and the TV show have very little to do with each other except the names of the characters.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're going to do a rewatch, start from the beginning.
Okay.
It is how we sit around and we talk about how Star Trek can be a window into social commentary because they can get away with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think MASH succeeded in that in its own way also.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with, although I would love to choose, did Jonathan Frakes do the alien autopsy things that they used to do?
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to choose that one. I don't think I'm going to. God, I really want to. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to go with, because I feel like what? Like we're being watched. Away, put your weapon. I don't know where that came. That, actually, I could pick that as the medical drama, because we're always like cutting off people's hands and getting them replaced and getting, throwing them back to tanks. And I'm going to go with ER. And I'm going to go with
that was definitely a runner-up for me. That show is just good.
I'm going to go with the first few seasons of ER because, and I'm trying to remember what season it might have been. I don't know the seasons and all that stuff as religiously as I do some other shows. Whatever season where a military style tank drove through the hospital was where I felt like they might have jumped the shark just a little bit. Oh yeah, there was some shark jumping. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's say anything before the tank drove through the wall. Okay, I think that's fair. I'm gonna do that because too, and that was one where I remember in college getting up and getting ready in the morning. You could easily put on, whether it was either TNT or TBS, and there were at least 2 or 3 episodes of ER that were on every single morning. So that was always, I remember I'd pop that on the TV. I'd start to get ready for a class in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on how long I slept. All right, question number 2. Who would win in a fight, Nick Nolte or Gary Busey? Busey. Yeah. He's just crazy enough to try anything. That's kind of what I thought. Yeah. I kind of felt like Gary Busey. And the only reason I say that is because when I see pictures of Nick, actually, I think when I asked my wife about something about Nick Nolte, I think she thought I was talking about Gary Busey. And I think sometimes there are some pictures of Nick Nolte where his hair is all crazy and everything else. And And it kind of is like, are they the same person, maybe? So,
I can see that.
Yeah.
I totally can see that.
So that's kind of the purpose behind the question, but I think I agree with you. I think Gary Busey just seems like he might be psychotic enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I try to picture Nick Nolte in his Italian accent saying something like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And it's not quite the same.
No.
So, yeah, I think I'd go Gary Busey too. Celebrity Fight Club. That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think of more celebrities. I'd fight William Shatner.
But how old is he? Like right now, William Shatner, or like...
Well, if I want to have a chance,
Spacey William Shatner.
So let's put it this way. If he fights in real life like he does on Star Trek, I'll take him at any time.
Well, yes.
Because I just feel like the double-handed punch is not effective.
By the way, call back to a previous episode. Has the Wrath of Khan episode aired at this point?
No.
Okay.
Call forward to an...
Call forward. I will ask a question during the Wrath of Khan episode about the first appearance of the two-handed Star Trek punch.
Mm-hmm.
It did appear very early in the season. In fact, in the first filmed episode, but I believe it aired third or fourth, where no man has gone before, he hits a Gary Mitchell with the two-handed.
Nice.
Yeah, he does it.
Nice.
Goes right for it.
Where no man has gone before.
Yeah.
Which also describes the line for the bathroom at a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from, but
I wasn't going to ask.
You don't need to. I was trying to picture how in the Street Fighter video game, you could have your players fight each other, and then some of those video games, you could choose the background. I'm trying to decide what background Nick Nolte and Gary Busey are fighting in.
Oh, it's the street out in front of a bar with big bright neon signs.
Okay.
And Patrick Swayze's the doorman.
Oh, nice. That's a nice touch.
I thought so.
Yeah. Mine was they're waiting in line for the porta potties at a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Well, see that's good too.
And one of the special features,
still neon.
Yes, and one of the special, and lots of parrots. One of the special features is, how in some of those games you could actually use part of the background as a weapon. Yeah, you can use a porta potty and smash one of the guys over the head with it.
Oh yes,
mm-hmm.
And Busey would do it.
Yeah,
every time.
Lions and tigers and bears, Hadouken. Bo, are there any, question 3, are there any home remedies that have been passed down through your family?
That's a tough one. Home remedies, maybe a little. My mother swears by Vicks Vapor Rub for lots of things that it's not necessarily for.
Okay.
Like she used to
This
tell
is
us
like
when
is this like the dad in Big Fat Greek Wedding who uses the Windex for everything?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're supposed to use it, you rub it on you to the vapors and they clear up the nose, whatever. She would use it on chapped lips, and come to find out you really shouldn't do that because you're not supposed to ingest the stuff.
Well, which I think I probably learned the hard way too, because I was like, why am I rubbing this on my chest if I'm trying to clear up my nose? I used to take it and like rub it on the inside of my nose.
Right, and I would put it up here, and then you're supposed to do this, you things you learn when you're an adult.
I'm like, why would I do that? Like when I put gas in my car, I'm not standing 5 feet away and then like spraying the gas and getting as close as I can. No,
Wait,
I'm gonna what?
Wait, you're not?
No,
that's not how I'm supposed to.
Not unless I'm gonna light a match and watch the place go up. It depends on how the day at work has been.
I see. I need to study something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, it's called Lorenzo's oil.
Right. And then, oddly enough, the other thing she would like to do is Carmex, which is a lip balm.
Yes.
She liked to put it on just random stuff, like if she's got a little bump or a red mark on her eyelid, she'll put it up there because it'll help the skin.
Okay.
Like, really? This is happening?
So when you say random stuff, you're still talking about like parts of the body.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were like, if your mom was like using it as like a varnish or.
Well, not that I'm aware of, but I got to be honest. Between the Vapor Rub and the Carmex, there's all sorts of weirdness happening.
Yeah. Well, Mom, the fine china seems to be shinier than usual. It's the Carmex.
A Big Mac.
A Big Mac.
If you were starting to feel sick, go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac. It would cleanse you. If you know what I mean. That was the theory.
Wow. I am next to godliness then.
That's what I said. Double quarter pounder with cheese meat, please. Like
a Big Mac. So the Big Mac cleanse.
Yeah, the theory was that if you're starting to feel sick, you have that, and it would help you flush out the bad.
Huh.
Yeah. Concept you took to heart, possibly a little too much, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, so weird little things like that.
I can picture Jack Nicholson. This town needs a quarter pounder. Huh. Okay. I have not heard of that one. We did have a natural cleanser in Texas known as Chili Night.
Indeed.
Probably along the same lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was.
My wife's was, I can't think of any in our family that we had. It was always, when you're sick, you always have soup and you have 7-Up or something like that.
Right.
That was
ginger ale and crackers.
Right. All that stuff.
Yeah.
In my wife's family, it was like hydrogen peroxide fixes everything.
Okay.
It's like, you got a cut, put some hydrogen peroxide on it.
Well, they're not wrong about that in some ways. That's interesting.
But everything. Everything.
Well, it works for this. It might work for that. Who knows?
I mean, I'm picturing at some point, it's like, you got sore muscles, hydrogen peroxide.
Smells like Ben Gay in here.
Yeah. Yes.
For those of you that don't know where that came from, blue collar comedy, Jeff Foxworthy, internet machine will take care of that for you.
What a trooper he was. You might be a redneck, which is funny. I listened to that and just kept thinking it was like a book on tape. I didn't realize it was a comedy special.
Well, when you grow up in Texas.
It was like, yes, I have aunts and uncles who have done this.
Yes. Yeah, that was yesterday.
I think I have an aunt who would have won a spitting contest. So why are people laughing at this?
I don't understand.
I don't understand.
Take my stapler.
This is funny. It's okay. It is comedy. I recognize that. All right. I think that's it, Bo. I think that was 3 questions.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
All right. It was my understanding there would be no math, so I typically
yes, well,
get caught up in the moment here. Bo, we have come to the end of our episode on Lorenzo's oil, and I think it's been a very dramatic episode. I think we've learned a lot here. I think this episode has been brought to you by the letter B and the number 3 and medical terminology that I will not even try to repronounce because it's not in our nation's best interest. Well,
it's true.
So I'm not gonna do that tonight. Don't mess with Texas. What we have coming up for you, if you want to check out our website, 30podcast.com, you can find all of our other episodes there. Next episode's coming up, we've got of our regular episodes, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which oddly enough is not a time travel movie, but depending on when Bo is going to ask the question of the episode that is not out yet, but could be out, but is when will then be now kind of a deal?
Yes.
Yes. Soon. Next week will be next week. I don't know what that means. Bo, my head hurts. I'm going to go get some hydrogen peroxide when we're done.
I think hydrogen peroxide will take care of all of your problems.
Rub some Carmex on it. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It's like icy hot. Just rub some icy hot on it. It's going to be totally fine.
There you go.
That's what, when I didn't have, that was a mistake too. When I didn't have Vicks one time and I was like trying to clear up my nose, I was like, icy hot basically smells the same.
Oh, you didn't.
I did. It was not wise, Bo.
Buddy.
Yeah.
That had to be all sorts of special.
Yeah. I used to have a master's degree. I think I forgot it.
Yeah, well.
I don't know what that did to my brain. But yeah. turned it all Abby normal is what it did. So September, we've got Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan from 82. It's a 40th anniversary special in which we're going to have our Patreon co-executive producer, Rob Perry, join us for that one. So super excited to have him on there. He's going to also come back in October to help us discuss Alien 3, 3 times the awesomeness is what that one is. But for the rest of September, we've got Star Trek II, we've got Forever Young, we've got Death Becomes Her. Our Patreon episodes are The Dark Crystal, Cat People, and Q the Winged Serpent. Then that's the letter Q, not like Q the Winged Serpent and expect him to come out, from stage left. That's not what that means. And it's not related to the Star Trek character Q, before anybody asks.
Is a winged serpent a dragon?
Yes, it is, Bo.
Okay, just checking.
And Q is short for Quetzalcoatl because it is the Aztec god.
Huh.
There is a...
Yes, there is. And okay, so full circle.
Yeah.
I just finished a rewatch of Star Trek the Animated Series, and that particular Aztec god makes an appearance in one of the last episodes of the animated series.
Oh, very well.
Yes, it was odd.
Okay.
As some of the animated series episodes were.
As is this movie.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched it?
Indeed. No, but I've seen enough pictures and read enough to go, things that make you go,
Bo, there are no surprises in this movie. When a window washer gets decapitated in the first 60 seconds of the movie, you kind of know what you're in for.
Yes, you know what you have signed up for. There is no doubting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
First 60 seconds, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yikes.
we get to the action right away. So then October, we got Last House on the Left from 72, Airplane 2 from 82, and Secret of NIMH from 82. Those are our Patreon episodes. And then our regular episodes for October are Bram Stoker's Dracula, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Army of Darkness. All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. And then Alien 3.
I am looking forward to that with a childlike joy.
It's going to be a quote-a-thon is what it's going to be.
All of those are.
We may have to dedicate an entire evening to Army of Darkness just because I know what's going to happen.
It's not a bad plan. Trying to squeeze in an extra recording with Army of Darkness
it's not going to happen.
Might just not be smart for us. I'm going to be honest.
It's not groovy is what it is.
That's true.
It's not going to happen. I am super excited that, however, I don't have a 4K TV, so it's not really going to matter. But actually, the 4K release of Army of Darkness should be happening within the next 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And I have the 4K of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, so that will complete my collection, and then just awaiting the day when I finally upgrade my TV and can
wonder
watch
if they're
it in all its
available
glory.
in HD and UHD streaming anywhere. I'll have to look.
Well, they might be. Yeah, but that's what we got coming up for the next couple of months. So
right on.
It is what it is. So, Bo, thank you for tolerating being here with me for an hour and whatever minutes.
Thank you, John, for pulling us together and getting this done.
Bo, it's always a little bittersweet whenever we finish one of these episodes, and
parting is such sweet sorrow.
It is, and you'll find that we joke a lot, but my laughter is only skin deep. Perhaps when this episode is over, you might join me for a weep. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's time to go.
You think?
I don't know.
That went to a place I just don't know.
I don't know anymore. It went to a place where only hydrogen peroxide and Carmex could bring us back out again.
True.
And maybe a little dash of Manil.
Yeah, well, Manil is always the right answer.
Absolutely. Little, yellow, and different. All right, friends. That's going to do it for this episode. Be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies. Go try to pronounce some medical terminology. It's a fun game.
Malerpader.
Exactly. There you go. Ankylosaur.
Ankylosaur.
We'll see you back here next time.